Hi friends. Today we are going to be processing a bunch of mangoes, apples, and peaches that I bought, and we're going to prepare them for freeze drying. So let me show you what we have. Okay, so we have mangoes here, mangoes in the bag, and then apples and peaches. So I'm going to be cutting all of these up today. Most likely we'll just start with the mangoes and see where we get to. Okay, so I got these mangoes from Walmart, and I have some of them that may not be good anymore, but we need to get them frozen and then in the freeze dryer. So I'll probably freeze them tonight and then run a load tomorrow in the freeze dryer, and hopefully they will be done by Saturday. So I should get a bowl. Let's put this stuff in. And then we still have our tallow that we're working on. And we'll be putting the slices on our freeze dryer trays. So I have one of my freeze dryer trays here. And we are just going to cut them up in slices the best that we can, and then put them on trays. So I would say about half of these mangoes end up not being super ripe. Like I said, unfortunately, I did have to buy them from Walmart, and even though they all felt like they were ripe when I cut into them, some of them are a much deeper orange color, or even like you can see like the middle there is more deeper orange, and then the lighter color just doesn't have as much flavor, but my family ends up enjoying these even though they weren't totally ripe. And I honestly don't know what the best way to cut a mango is. I don't think I've ever actually seen a mango growing in real life, and so I didn't grow up cutting them or seeing them, and so this is the best way I can figure out how to get around the seed that's in there. Just kind of cut on each side and then slice them like that. And when they're ripe, if I run my finger behind behind the peel, it comes out. But when it's not super ripe, then sometimes I have to cut them out. And so even though they weren't all totally ripe, we end up gifting some to some family, and then we ate the majority of them. My boys really enjoy the mangoes, and so that's great. And I don't mind preserving the food in this way because the mangoes are still really good for you, and we wouldn't normally eat mangoes. If I were to buy them, I wouldn't really cut them up, and the kids wouldn't grab them for a snack. And so the fact that they're eating them freeze dried just makes me happier that they're going for that instead of Cheez-Its, to be quite honest. So I'm happy to do this. And when I bought my freeze dryer, really that's what my intention was to make convenience foods for my family, not necessarily long-term storage. And eventually I want to get more into the long-term storage of food. But for right now, I'm really enjoying just having convenient foods that are shelf stable. And so like all of these mangoes, then they were shelf stable, although they didn't last, they didn't need to be shelf stable. My family wouldn't have eaten all these mangoes as a snack over the course of about a week. And so they're just getting some different variety in their diet because I'm preserving them in this way, and I'm happy to do that for them. And honestly, I find it fun to do this kind of stuff. So it makes me really happy. I am actually I haven't done it yet, but we had 2 mangoes that I don't end up cutting at all. Wow. It looks terrifying with my knife skills sped up. I swear it felt a lot safer than it's looking right now. But we have 2 that weren't ripe, and so I just decided not to put those in. And so I'm going to be running those over the weekend. It's about a week and a half after when I'm recording this from when I'm doing my voiceover, and I decided to put some tahini on them, and I'm really excited for those. So we have about 1 full tray of mangoes that have tahini on them from those 2 that weren't ripe yet. And so yeah, see this one, I just needed to cut it like that because it wasn't really coming off because it was not ripe. And so I just did what I could with what I had. And the mangoes weren't super expensive. They were about $1 a mango. And so yeah, then I'm just kind of putting them on the trays. Okay, so I filled up 6 trays. These 2 have the least amount on them. And then I'm gonna put these in the freezer. And like I said, more than likely I will just put these in the freezer overnight and then put them in the freeze dryer. Some of them were not very ripe. And then I have 2 here left that were not ripe at all. I didn't think they would be good to use. And then some were really ripe, so you can see kind of the color difference. And so I'm trying to kind of keep, like, this one's the only one that has the unripe and ripe together. So I can kind of see, as far as when it does freeze dry, obviously this doesn't taste as good as the darker color. But I want to see if it's still worth doing it when they're like sort of not ripe. And so I will put all of this. There are 6 trays here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. I'm gonna put all this in my deep freezer overnight, and then tomorrow we will put them in the freeze dryer, and then I'm thinking it's Wednesday today. I'm thinking they'll probably be done by Saturday. So I will see you tomorrow. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut up the peaches now. I need to grab a bowl again. I keep forgetting that. To put all the cores in. And then I had enough of the mangoes that I'm gonna run a whole load of just mangoes. Oh, which reminds me, I actually need to go turn the freeze dryer on. So I'm gonna cut this and then go and turn the freeze dryer on. And then this might be a whole load of just peaches. Okay, let's go turn the freeze dryer on. So I'm gonna check my oil level. Oil is good. I'm gonna turn the freeze dryer on and you'll see it come on. And then I'm gonna make sure that my valve is closed. And I'm just gonna check it in here. We should be all good because I ran that other load. Yeah, we're good. So now we just wait for it to turn on. It takes a second. Okay, so now should be able to push start. And then wait 15 minutes and we can put our mangoes in there. Okay, we're back with the peaches, and in 15 minutes we will put that in the freeze dryer, which are all the mangoes wow, I cannot get these straight. Which are all the mangoes that we cut. And then I don't have I only have 6 of those like tray liners. And so we're just not gonna use a tray liner, which is fine. Sometimes they stick a little bit more to the trays when you don't use the tray liners, but I don't think we'll have a huge issue with these peaches. And then I'll probably keep a couple of the peaches out for fresh eating, but they're pretty much all ready to be eaten like by tonight or tomorrow. And my plan with these I actually do think that they're good as just like a freeze-dried snack. But my kids like eating almost like the peaches in the syrup. And I was gonna try just like hydrating them a little bit. And I think that they're gonna have the same texture as the peaches in the syrup. And so try that. But then also for like peach cobbler, which sounds delicious. I'm so excited for that. So these are actually Utah peaches. They were all out of Palisade peaches when I went there. The season's almost over. That's okay. These are also delicious. And I'm not so much like a peach connoisseur that I tell the difference too much, but I was just excited to get them. So this was 25 pounds of peaches when I bought it. We've eaten a handful of them since I bought them 2 days ago. And then those mangoes I stuck in the deep freezer without any plastic or anything on them because I knew that they would only be in there for about a day. These peaches, I'm not sure when I'm gonna run these peaches, and so I will actually put plastic over them in the deep freezer. I don't have any of the, like there's clear tops that you can get, and I don't have any of those clear tops. So I just put clear plastic over them, and then I kind of like stack them so they're not sitting right on top of each other, like kind of turned a little bit so they're not like pushing the other food down that's on the tray below them, and just stack them on the top of my deep freezer, and it seems to work really well. I haven't had an issue so far. Oh, my dog's outside barking. So that's the first tray. Okay, so we have some peaches in here. These were some extra ones that have cinnamon on them. And then we have a couple more trays in here that aren't in the deep freezer. And now our peach cycle is done. We're in extra dry time. And they are in there. So we need to go to football practice, and so I'm gonna take Liam to football practice, and when I get home, I will pull those peaches out of the freeze dryer and bag them up. Probably put a lot of them into just mason jars since the mangoes went so fast. I don't think I need to put them in Mylar, but some of them I will put in the Mylar bags. Okay, so this has been going for extra dry time for, I think, 3 extra hours, and so I'm gonna check them now. So we're gonna cancel, and then open the drain valve. And then this should release. Like that. And let's check these and see if they are ready. Okay, nothing is cold on there, and actually I think I can already see they might need a little more time. I think, well, maybe not. Some pretty good. There's no cold spots. Okay, let's bring you down a little bit so we can look at these. Okay, so these actually all feel pretty dry. Not feeling any cold spots. What I was kind of wondering about is that it's a little darker. So you can see it's a little darker in color, but it looks like that is actually dry. It's just darker in color, which is fine. Those might have been ones that were like a little more ripe. Yep. Okay. I feel like these are all good to go. Yeah, I think think that's just what it is. I think they're just a little darker in color because they were a little riper. But, and honestly, the little bit riper ones, I will probably just go ahead and put in the mason jars. So let me go get those. Okay, so I have the mason jars, and I know my family is going to eat a lot of these just as snacks, and so I'm not worried about long-term preservation of many of these. And then, like I said, I had the mangoes on the silicone mats, which is why I didn't have the silicone mats, but they just come up. Like you can see where they were on the tray, but they just come up. So I'm just gonna take them up. And obviously I have clean, dry hands. I just washed them before I came out here. And then I'm just going to take them, put them in my mason jar, and then label them. I will put an oxygen absorber in them. And I might actually just fill this mason jar up and see if I have a couple smaller ones, because the more you open the mason jars, like the more air is going to get in. But like I said, my family is going to eat these pretty quickly. But for the ones we want to preserve longer, I will put those in Mylar bags. And like the ones that I want to use for like peach cobblers and things like that throughout the year, and I will put all those in a Mylar bag. So these just gonna go in here, and then let's take a look at the freeze dryer. All right, so I was on extra dry time, so I just pushed cancel, and it brought me to this screen. Okay, it shows me that my machine has been running for 27 hours. That includes the warm-up time, the freezing time, and the actual freeze drying time, and the extra. And now I can choose, like, let's say that I needed to put those in for longer because they were so soft or there was more moisture, then I could push more dry time, and then it would actually keep going in here. Or I can push no defrost, or I can warm my trays, but I don't need to do any of that. And so I think I'm gonna try to run a candy cycle, so I am actually gonna defrost. And it'll defrost for an hour. And so we will just leave that closed, but I'll show you really quick inside. There is some ice inside the chamber. I went ahead and closed the door, so I'll just keep that closed while that defrosts, and then I'll run a candy load tonight, and then I have a friend that wants to do some tomatoes, and so we'll run some tomatoes in the next few days. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry I didn't get to show you the mangoes, but those got eaten so fast and I didn't film taking them out of the freeze dryer. Oh, and then I am going to be running my cinnamon peaches, but I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to do the candy run, which will take just a few hours, and then do the tomatoes for my friends. So maybe this weekend I'll probably do the cinnamon peaches, and I'm sure that's the majority of the ones that we'll snack on. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope that you are having a great day, and just know that I love you guys. Bye.